Hello, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well. I'm so sorry if you just joined the last podcast because I'm in a different country. It was trying to verify me to make sure I wasn't a scammer. And then I accidentally started playing the old music, which is a serious copyright infringement because I don't have the right to use that music at the moment. So, I'm so sorry. I had to start the whole podcast again. But thank you so much for rejoining, and thank you so much for all your well wishes. I am in my new destination. I am in Southeast Asia, and if you want to know exactly which country I'm in, you're gonna have to follow me on Instagram. That's my incentive for you to follow me on Instagram. I actually just rebranded my personal Instagram to growth. Oh, so not growth with Anne, growth plan with Anne. So if you want to follow all my new travels and if you feel inspired to travel, then please go follow me over there because I'll be doing tons of stuff over there. But of course, still very much keeping up to date with all of the royal stuff. Yeah, plan a lesson to learn. This actually happened last time I traveled as well. I just completely forgot because it's been so long. I mean, I guess it's for safety, right? I don't want anyone to get hacked. Thank you, Ron Anderson. I did indeed enjoy my birthday, and I'm safely in my new destination in Southeast Asia. If you want to know where I am, go check out my Instagram, but it's somewhere I've been before. So y'all know the countries that I love. Okay, let's get into it because I was flying for like 25 hours and I had a layover in China, and oh my god, everything is blocked in China. YouTube is blocked in China. Even TikTok, which is Chinese made, is blocked in China. Instagram, Twitter, Google. Otherwise, I honestly would have done a podcast during a layover because I've done that before. If you were following me from my travels before, I had like a 15-hour layover in Amsterdam, and I was like, I'm doing a podcast because I'm going to do this podcast wherever. If they send me to the moon, I will do this podcast. So let's get into it. Happiest news of the day. Harry should be popping up sometime today in Vancouver, Canada. What time is it in Vancouver? Let me just check so I can see when I can expect to start getting stuff. Oh, it's actually 3 p.m. So do you know what? There's probably pictures already popping up online. I just haven't had a moment to grab them. So I may actually do another podcast later on today. Time difference is insane. But Harry will be doing some interesting conversations. I think they've even just announced something else that wasn't initially announced. But let me just read the official news report if you haven't heard it. This is wonderful because we've gotten so much stuff from Meghan, and now we're getting all this great stuff from Harry. So Prince Harry to be in Toronto. Oh, sorry, it's not Vancouver, it's Toronto. Excuse me. My correction there, Toronto, not Vancouver. Prince Harry will be in Toronto this week. His office confirmed to CTV News. The prince will be coming to the city at the invitation of the military charity True Patriot Love Foundation to attend several engagements involving Remembrance Day, though he has no event scheduled on the actual date. He may pop up somewhere by surprise. His office confirms he will be in town for 2 days, starting Wednesday, for a series of events to support the Canadian Armed Forces and veteran community. Of course, he would be because he is the leader of Invictus. Later that evening, Harry will attend a private fundraiser on behalf of the Halo Trust. The Halo Trust is also the organization that his mother worked in. They work to clear landmines in landmine-affected countries. On Thursday morning, the Duke's office says he will visit the Veterans Centre at Sunnybrook Hospital to speak with veterans from both the Second World War and the Korean War. Following that, he will go to the True Patriot National Tribute Dinner, which his office says is Canada's largest celebration in support of military members, veterans, and their families. And of course, last time Harry was in Canada was earlier this year in February for the Invictus Winter Games. Also, there's just something else that's just popped up. Powerhouse is ending with a bang, and you won't want to miss it. Join us December 1st for a conversation with Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, who brings a powerful message of service and leadership to the powerhouse stage. Now, this isn't anything to do with his Vancouver trip. It's something to do with an organization called Powerhouse Let's Get Moving. This literally just came up on my feed, by the way, so I don't have it on the slides, but I can just have a quick Google now and see what this is about. Let's have a look. Powerhouse Let's Get Moving. So this is in December. Oh, Sussex House is busy. Powerhouse Let's Get Moving. What's this about? Okay, there's actually there's no other details. Okay, do you know what? I'm going to do a follow-up podcast later on. So I guess I will get more information on that. It literally just came up on my feed. Powerhouse. Oh, so this will be at the Hilton Toronto. So this will be in Canada. Canada's Best Political Affairs Conference is back. This is your chance to hear from influential leaders, political pundits, and powerful insiders on all things real estate, policy, housing, supply, and the Canadian economy. Okay, so also the Democratic Party, the leader of the Democratic Party of Ontario will also be speaking. So I think Harry will be speaking within the context of him being Chief Impact Officer at BetterUp, the largest mental health and coaching startup in the world. Along with his wife, has become an investor in Ethic, a sustainable investing platform. And Harry will be there in person, so you can register to go and see him. So he'll actually be there in person. Okay, sorry, that was very off the cuff. It just came up on my feed, but I will be back later, so I will get more details for you as they come in. But yes, another in-person event from Harry, December 1st, coming our way. Oh, fantastic. But today and tomorrow, we will see Harry in Canada also. All right. Let's get on to the next thing. David Beckham. Round of applause for David. David finally got his knighthood. You know, there's something to be said about oh, is that coming up on the screen? What's going on there? Here we go. There's something to be said about when you get something, but when it's not given to you in the way that you maybe would have wanted it, it kind of has a bitterness to it. And I wonder if that's how David feels now, because he's been wanting that knighthood for a while. He had to tap dance until his feet were sore to get it. And he's getting it amidst a whole bunch of other scandals surrounding, you know, the royal brand. And do you actually want to be this closely associated with the royal brand while they are, you know, going through this PR disaster? What's also interesting is why it possibly took David to get his knighthood. By the way, because I'm in a new place, please do let me know how my audio is, because if my audio isn't great and it's glitching, I can demand that Airbnb move me somewhere else. So just let me know how things are with sound as we go through the podcast. If I start glitching, going in and out, let me know straight away, please. So why is it that it took, you know, so long for David to get his knighthood? Well, apparently he made some remarks about a previous snub, and these were leaked. He said, "They are a bunch of SUNTs. I expected nothing less." He wrote of the Honours Committee in late December 2013. Who decides on the honours? It's a disgrace to be honest. And if I was American, I would have got something like this 10 years ago. Of the news that Katherine Jenkins, a classical singer, was to be bestowed with the Order of the British Empire, Katherine Jenkins, OBE for what? His email continues. Singing at the rugby and going to see the troops, plus admiring to take SOKE effing joke, and if you get asked, we should think of a cutting remark. What's interesting to me about this is he apparently got snubbed for years because this email got leaked. But people like Jimmy Savile, Matt Clifford, Rolf Potts, all these people that had all these accusations against them for the most heinous of things got one. And you're not going to tell me that the establishment, the royal family, didn't know about the actions of people like Jimmy Savile. And yet he was given a knighthood. Charles fought for him to be given a knighthood. So as long as you keep your perversions private, you'll be given a knighthood. But if you call the royal family or the honours committee a dirty word and it leaks out into the public, we're going to snub you for about a decade. And, you know, David is a huge sports person. He, you know, put English football on the map. You know, he is in his own way a cultural icon. He's given to the culture. So I think he years ago was deserved one. It's just a shame that he it's just a shame that he's had to tap dance so much for it. But hopefully David is he's breathed a sigh of relief finally. But if it was me, I'd be like, oh, do I even still want it anymore? I mean, what do these honors even mean? What did they ever mean? Because if you are as accomplished as somebody as David Beckham, why do you need something else to prove your worthiness? You're one of the most, you know, David wasn't even like in terms of like player ability in the league of like Ronaldo, but in terms of popularity, he's in that league. So why do you need, you know, another honor? Oh well, finally got it. Let's get to your comments. Mind you, there are people now giving back their honors. So okay, the audio is perfect. Thank you so much. What is the big deal about a knighthood? Well, for some people, they see it as being close to the royal family, as being higher up in the social class, especially somebody like David, you know, David Beckham, Victoria Beckham. Well, I think David, you know, they do come from working class backgrounds. I think Victoria was a little bit more middle class, but David grew up in Leytonstone. That's where I grew up as a kid. So I think it's also just part of this class system and moving up the class system and having this honor adjacent to your family name. And I believe that Victoria also now becomes a lady or something. Yeah, Tammy, it's like the President Award for Americans. But the thing is that the president is actually voted in by the people. And the awards given by the American president aren't necessarily, you know, based on this class system. Okay, lady, you received your as ever orders. Yay! Yeah, a lot of people getting their orders. I think Lightside let me know that she got half of her order because she put in a huge order. That person who spent $2,000, they're probably gonna, you know, have to get like 10 different boxes or something. Do you know what? I don't even think that that person is the only one who put in that big of an order. I can just like imagine Megan's face seeing all of y'all's orders. Anywho, on to the next thing. We've got some minor royals going broke, apparently. Oh dear. Some of them have money, some of them don't seem to have money. The money itself is dodgy. Where is the money coming from? Where is it going? Again, I ask, when will we have transparency around royal money? So, talk of the town. Interesting also, this is being heavily promoted in the Daily Mail. More royal woe as Princess Anne's son, Peter, files to dissolve company behind his annual horse festival. Oh, what, they couldn't get Camilla to perform? Nobody's buying tickets? It was the Princess Royal's Dream Project, an equestrian event that drew thousands of fans to the grounds of Gatcombe Park Estate each summer for 40 years. But now, a fresh blow to the troubled royal family, it seems the Festival of British Eventing has been permanently co-signed to history. The princess's son, Peter Phillips, has applied to dissolve the company that organizes the event, which has not run since 2023, when the final day was abandoned because of bad weather. He cancelled last year's festival with a heavy heart, citing high running costs, and no event took place this year. So people aren't coming out in droves to support this event anymore. I wonder why that is. Is it just because people don't want to go to a royal family thing? Is it the economy? I don't know. I'm not part of the equestrian community. But whatever it is, get more bad karma for this unroyal mafia that are really going through it. Peter, formerly managing director of a boutique sports management firm, took over as event director in 2017. It is not the only venture of Peter's in debt. Fish Pond Ring, an alternative energy firm producing hydroelectricity, is over 295,000 in the red. See, this is just what I find interesting. This isn't the first story that I've seen like this of royals or royal affiliated individuals bankrupt, in debt. And it's like they always seem to be able to wash this debt away, get money from more ventures, get money from somewhere else. It's like, where are they getting the money from? It is better news for the company he still co-owns with ex-wife Autumn Kelly. Pheasant and Partridge Enterprises, which arranges group shoots, is in the black to the tune of 27,000. Their spokesperson did not respond for comment. Oh, I'm sure they didn't. But it just shows that a lot of the times, these people, they're putting on a show for their lifestyles. Asset rich, cash poor. On to the next thing, William and Kate. So on to people who apparently have lots of money. William and Kate moving into, what is this, their fifth forever home? 16 million, 8-bed forever home. This is just a kick in the teeth, to be honest. And what I want to know is, why then has all of this money been spent on their other homes? And the press aren't even asking what these moves are for or why. Now, there has been some suggestion, allegedly, that this house is, because of where it's placed, a lot more private. So if there were, say, troubles in paradise, troubles with their courtship, they'd be able to live separate lives. Allegedly. But nobody's really asking why it is that we've spent all this money on homes that they're no longer living in. I think we deserve answers. Lady said, I just don't get how the royals allocate that money. Indeed. Well, I mean, with the guy who's gone bankrupt, at least they were trying to run some kind of business. But then it's like, when they go bankrupt and they're no longer making money, at least the ones that try to do it privately, well, then where do they get their money next? Where is he going to get his money next? So Prince William and Kate have moved into their forever home, Forest Lodge. The pair have left Adelaide Cottage in Windsor's home park and are now living in a Grade 2 listed 8-bedroom mansion. The move happened over Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis's half-term, with the family previously settling themselves. The goal of moving in by bonfire night. Oh, remember the 5th of November. What an interesting day to move. What an ironic day to move. They are now understood to be settling into their home. How nice to have a fresh start in an 8-bedroom grade 2 listed building that needed tons of renovation. Must be nice. Himmy fan, who wants to bet that William and Kate will end up in Royal Lodge? Do you know what? A lot of people have been saying that, but there is also some suggestion that Camilla might want Royal Lodge. Yeah, Helen, a lot of people saying it. Apparently, Royal Lodge is the one that is, it looks closest to the Montecito Castle, which might be why someone is eyeing it. A certain jealous brother is eyeing it. Now, on to the topic of Andrew. This still rages on. This interesting story came out of Andrew arranging a private tour of Buckingham Palace for a businessman whose cryptocurrency mining firm agreed to pay Fergie 1.4 million. This is coming out now, but I would happily bet that the press sat on this. They knew about it, but they sat on it. Because apparently this happened back in 2019. So the businessman in question is called Jay Bloom and his colleague Michael Evers. They were driven through the palace gates in the former prince's own car after being collected from their 5-star Knightsbridge hotel. So it just shows if you have money and you want access, you can get it. This was when the Queen was still living at Buckingham Palace, by the way. Their company, Pegasus Group Holdings, which Mr. Bloom co-founded, employed Sarah Ferguson as a brand ambassador for crypto mining, which would lose investors millions when it failed less than a year later. Crypto is a very, very volatile space. I was actually watching a crypto documentary during my flight. I think it was called Trust No One on Netflix. Definitely go watch that if you want to watch something interesting. A lot of hackers, a lot of schemers, and they prey on people's want to get rich quick. Now, if you're lucky, often if you have, or more often than not, if you have insider information and you get on certain things soon or at the beginning, you can profit pretty heftily from crypto. But most people lose money. There's a lot of insider trading, a lot of scamming. It's something, if you want to make money, you know, it has to be a long-term investment and you got to be willing to lose money. But there's also a lot of scamming. Mr. Bloom, an entrepreneur who had previously set up a failed mafia-themed museum. Oh, a mafia-themed museum enthusiast turned cryptocurrency schemer. I mean, you just can't make this up. You can't make it up. He had previously set up a failed mafia-themed museum in Las Vegas, and Mr. Evers, a former actor, were met by Agrita and escorted inside the palace. Mr. Evers told the BBC they then met the Queen, although Mr. Bloom disputed this. Both Mr. Evers and Mr. Bloom were invited by the then Prince to his pitch at Palace event, a Dragon's Den style business pitching competition at nearby St. James's Palace later that day, and they dined that evening with Andrew, Miss Ferguson, and their daughter, Princess Beatrice. Miss Ferguson was working with the Pegasus Group Holdings at the time of the palace visit. Now, if they apparently paid her all that money, what did she do with it? This just shows you that even if you are adjacent to privilege, you're born or you're married into wealth, if your mindset is set to poor, you can be given millions at a time. And that seems to be what has been happening with Sarah and with Andrew over the years. And you will still go broke. It's like the lottery winner that never had money and so doesn't know how to handle it. But the project ultimately failed. Oh, sorry. Ms. Ferguson was working with Pegasus Group Holdings at the time of the palace visit, while she was the Duchess of York, to promote plans to use thousands of solar power generators to mine Bitcoin at a remote site in Arizona. But the project ultimately failed, with only 615 of the planned 16,000 generators acquired and just $30,000 in cryptocurrency mined. In April 2021, some investors took legal action, claiming millions of dollars of investor funds were unaccounted for. A tribunal awarded the investors 4.1 million, but Mr. Bloom is seeking permission to appeal. I never even heard about any of this. The revelations add to growing questions about how Andrew and his former wife have funded their lifestyle, as well as long-standing concerns about their business connections and that the then prince may have used his royal titles and connections for private gain. If they did this once, they've done it a million times. I don't believe it's the first time that they did something like this, especially when the Queen was alive, selling access to the Queen. Oh, yeah. They probably made millions doing that. On Thursday evening, Buckingham Palace announced that it was starting the formal process, stripping Andrew of his titles. Oh, girl, please. Girl, please. You know, all that's happened is that Andrew cannot officially be referred to as the Duke of York. That's it. But he very much still remains a hereditary prince, and he's still in the line of succession. Anyway, Andrew and Miss Ferguson did not respond to a detailed list of questions about their involvement with Mr. Bloom and the crypto mining venture. Sarah was paid more than £200,000, must be nice, for her work for the company, and a leaked contract reveals she was in line for a separate bonus worth 1.2 million. She also received a stake in the business, which proposed using solar generators to reduce the cost of energy-intensive computer calculations needed to generate or mine the digital currency Bitcoin. Her contract stipulated that she required first-class travel, five-star hotels, and the services of a professional hairdresser and makeup artist for the maximum of 4 networking events she would attend on the company's behalf. I mean, you know what? If anything, you kind of got to admire the hustle of these two. Really rinsing those royal connections for everything they're worth. Oh. So 8 years before the Duchess signed up to be a brand ambassador for Pegasus, Mr. Bloom had hit the Vegas headlines, accused of missing payments and deceiving investors in connection with a mob experience exhibition in the city. So the background of this con artist businessman was out there in the public domain, but they still chose to align with him. In March of 2019, Miss Ferguson had dinner with Mr. Bloom in Los Angeles. They had lunch at the Beverly Hills Hotel a few days later, as she helped him to try to close the deal for Pegasus. One of her daughters stopped by during the meal. Mr. Evers was now working for Pegasus as well as being an investor. He said he and Mr. Bloom were regularly in London over the following months as they explored taking Pegasus public. I mean, that would have rushed a lot of money into the company. He said he got to know Miss Ferguson and her family through all of that. I met Andrew, Beatrice, and a lot of their family. So they were pretty close. And there's also footage of this, by the way. They were picked up in Knightsbridge from their hotel by an official driver in a dark blue Range Rover used by Andrew and driven through the palace gates in the early afternoon. Once inside, they were taken through the inner courtyard where a female greeter was waiting for them. A video taken by the men from inside the car captured their arrival. A former royal household employee who reviewed the footage told the BBC that it was clear the palace security staff on the gate were expecting the vehicle. So this was all planned. The Queen was in residence that day, having her weekly audience with the Prime Minister. And this crypto fraudster was able to get close. I mean, there's even pictures of them. I'm looking at the article. There's pictures of them on a private jet. And whatever so-called work that Fergie was doing for this guy. It wasn't work. It was just the being able to be affiliated with them. That's what they were paying for. What else? What other information have they sold? Who knows what? We don't know. I'm sure there are some rather nefarious international entities that have information that the royal family don't want anyone to know about, that they're potentially using as collateral, they're holding on to. It's also come out that the Vanity Fair chief instructed staff to go easy on Beatrice and Eugenie because of his friendship with them. Now, granted, I think that Beatrice and Eugenie deserve some grace in the sense that they were born into this absolute chaos and dysfunction. And that's not necessarily their fault. But as grown women, they may be profiting, or they may have enjoyed some of this money that their parents got through devious means. So I don't think they should necessarily be let off the hook for that. And I always found it strange that they decided to do that. There was like charity work that they were doing with victims of sexual abuse and trafficking, and that always came across to me as some kind of smokescreen and distraction. Because how do you get involved with charity work like that, but you don't want to address anything regarding your own family member? Very weird. Benjamin, are you late? No, you're not. No, you are not late at all. Well, we started about half an hour ago. But don't worry. Just go all the way to the beginning and then fast forward like ×2. Helen, you said all of this was on a program this evening. It will be on iPlayer. Okay, amazing. If you know the name of the program, please do put it in the chat. I'm not in the UK and I didn't have a TV or iPlayer anyway. So maybe y'all can watch that and let me know how it was. Does it go into detail? But that article from the BBC was pretty detailed, to be honest. It's just a shame that it feels like they likely sat on this and they're only just bringing it out now because of everything that's unraveling with Andrew. All right, let's just get through your comments before I go on to the next thing. There was a very interesting point in a Celebrity article about titles, and I kind of made a similar point where they say that it seems that in a technical sense, the royal titles are not actually being removed per se, and some other process is happening. According to the BBC, Andrew's titles, Prince, Duke, Earl, and Baron, are being removed by King Charles, sending royal warrants to the Lord Chancellor to officially remove them, meaning the monarch can just send a letter saying, this guy isn't a prince anymore, and everyone's like, sure, whatever, that sounds legit. Personally, I think the lack of clarity about the process being used to remove titles adds to the sense that all of these people are making it up as they go along. That is literally what I've been saying from the very beginning. The pomp and protocol is just something they make up as they go along. It's part of the reason why it was used and weaponized against Meghan. Meghan was bashed in the press for opening a goddamn car door. Sorry. They've let daylight in on the magic of the monarchy. And it turns out all of these titles are made up and someone can be unroyaled with some paperwork. Funny that. Meanwhile, it doesn't look like they'll be able to remove Andrew from the line of succession either. Keir Starmer doesn't back the effort, but various MPs are trying to make it happen. Keir Starmer, that's the British Prime Minister, if you don't know who that is, is under mounting pressure from his own MPs to remove Andrew from the royal line of succession amid fears of a possible constitutional crisis. I mean, the pressure that they should be putting on him is actually a criminal investigation because all of this is just smoke and mirrors. The former prince is currently eighth in line to the throne, and only an act of parliament could prevent him ever becoming king. I mean, I don't see that what 6, 7 other royals would be unalived for him to ever become king, but it's just a sentiment of him being in that line of succession. But that's what you get with the hereditary monarchy. You don't get to choose. And that's just what's so crazy about it in 2025. Sir Keir has so far resisted pressure to alter the royal succession, with Downing Street saying there are no plans to do so. I mean, to be honest, for Downing Street, this is also just a ridiculous distraction when there are so many other more important things happening in the country. Although it is highly unlikely that Andrew could ever ascend the throne, of course, it is not impossible. The three royals directly ahead of him in the line of succession are Harry and his children, who, as a young family in America, are unlikely candidates to serve as monarch. And Harry said himself that he wouldn't want to be king anyway. The other four are the Prince of Wales and his children. One Labour MP said that in the event of an unimaginable tragedy, it was still possible that Andrew could become king, which was something the British people would not put up with. A Labour minister also said they backed removing Andrew from the succession in principle. While there was a rush of this kind of reporting in the wake of Andrew's demotion, or whatever we're calling it, I get the sense that Buckingham Palace is telling their loyal stenographers in the press that the whole thing is done now and people need to move on. That's what it kind of feels like, to be honest. It's like we caused the fuss, we kind of made it look like we removed his titles, and we need to move on now. Virginia's book is out, but we need to move on now. Um, Meaning Starmer and the MPs have got their marching orders too. Stop harassing the poor king about his degenerate brother. Stop demanding that horrible man be removed from the line of succession. Stop asking questions about the money or the security or anything else. One more crazy thing, while the palace is clearly trying to change the subject now, they also went to the government to get Andrew removed as honorary vice admiral of the Royal Navy, a position I did not know he still had. Did he ever even serve in the Navy? I thought he had given up all of his military positions back in 2019, following the Emily Mantis interview. Well, that's what we were told. Well, that was a lie, because he's still admiral, sorry, and he's been vice admiral this whole time, and now they're taking that away too. Looks like the king will take up the government's time on certain issues, but not others. And why did he even have that honor? Did he even serve? Wasn't it Andrew that I think he went to training and then dropped out or something? Or did Andrew actually serve? Wait, let me have a check of this. Actually, do you know what? I don't care. I don't care that much to check. But yeah, they want us to just move on. And it'll be interesting to see what they do next to try and get us to move on. I mean, there was even a suggestion that it could be William trying to save the planet that could get us to move on. There was a headline saying, "Will William's Earthshot be the thing that distracts us from Andrew?" As if William, playing volleyball in Rio is enough to get us to stop asking questions. Oh dear. But yeah, William is in Rio for his earthworm. The weird ways that William is trying to seem relatable is embarrassing. I mean, going to work from one castle to another on the Windsor estate on a scooter. This is apparently what I meant to look at and think that's relatable, but Meghan making a fruit plate is apparently not relatable. Here he is trying to, I think, play volleyball. Is this volleyball, beach ball? I think he was actually playing with some kids, by the way. And it was all very awkward. And I don't know when the Earth flop is going. I think it'll probably be aired today, if anything. But I'm sure Willie is absolutely incandescent that Harry's team also announced Harry's trip to Canada. Now, as I always say, I don't think that Harry and Meghan are in competition with the other royals. If anything, it's the other royals that are in competition with Harry and Meghan, and it's a one-sided competition. And as much as Richard Eden wants to throw his hands up in the air and, twerk his bum up in the air for the clicks and views that he's desperate for, I believe that it is a coincidence. And people like Richard Eden can sit there and try to stir some ish all they want. The fact of the matter is, even for the people in the media, they're more interested in Harry than they are in William anyway. And that's why Harry makes more of the headlines. So I'm sure William is incandescent, but Harry and Meghan cannot center their lives around what the other royals do, especially when the other royals themselves just do what's convenient for them, going to rugby games, football games, Wimbledon, the trooping, all the comfortable stuff. They do more of that and go on vacation than anything meaningful. And then when Harry and Meghan step out the house, they last minute start trying to plan other things. This is why a lot of their events that they do now seem so disorganized. Remember when they went to the Natural History Museum and you had Kate standing there with an umbrella while the kids were all getting wet? Because they just do things off the cuff. It's also why you're seeing less and less people show up to the events that they do. Granted, I think that people just aren't that interested anymore. But if you're planning things last minute because your brother and the sister-in-law are out the house and taking away the shine, well, you're not going to get enough people to show up. And then it's going to look like nobody's interested. FYI, just a reminder that there's always been a suggestion that Earth Flop was actually stolen. This tweet often goes viral every single year when William has Earth Flop. An idea from Goldman Prize winner Scops, Belgium 2008, in the spirit of JFK's moonshot. Let's not destroy what keeps us alive. I call for an Earth shot to save our planet in the next decade. A small step for the global community, a giant leap for our planet. Hashtag climate action. And we know that the palace have a habit of copying. Would it surprise me if Earthshot was copied from this or somebody else's idea? Now, William is on the cover of Hello magazine. As a father, I think constantly about the world my children will inherit. I mean, your children are inheriting tens of millions, stately homes, entire country, and the Commonwealth. So they are going to be least affected by climate change. The tone deafness of it all. And then to fly thousands of miles, take up police resources to a place that you weren't invited to. You just decided to have Earth Flop over there. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. William had all the time to figure out what he wanted to do, where he wanted to take things. And at the age of, how old is William? 41, 42? Hasn't worked out. Also, rather interesting that the press still aren't really asking questions about why Kate won't go. And she hasn't been for, I think this is what, the third Earth flop that Kate hasn't been with William for. Interesting. I just wanted to read this article. So Prince William looked unfortunate playing beach volleyball with Brazilian kids. Don't get me wrong, I love volleyball and beach volleyball. Volleyball is my jam and it's super fun to play and watch. I do not blame Prince William for putting a beach volleyball session on his Rio de Janeiro itinerary whatsoever. But why is he in a trousers and a shirt is the question that I have. And the question in this article. Bad staff work letting William play beach volley in jeans and trousers and not shutting it down when William was flailing all over the beach and making those crazy faces as he tried to play the game with the kids. Yikes, indeed. I mean, they wouldn't at least try to get him to blend in. Why is he wearing jeans and a shirt to play volleyball? Anyway, these photos are from William's first day in Rio, where he checked off a bunch of appearances and events in a steady clip. He received the keys to the city of Rio from the mayor. Oh, yes, those pictures are... Where did I put those pictures? Oh, yeah, they're here. He visited Sugarloaf Mountain. He did a meet and greet and took selfies with Brazilians. He went to a football pitch and kicked a ball. And yes, a volleyball photo op. And with that, the planet was healed. Joking. The whole thing is ridiculous. The real story of William's first day in Brazil is that his brother stole his thunder by announcing a trip to Toronto this week. Harry will be highly visible and doing events on Wednesday and Thursday of this week. Also on Wednesday, William's Earthshot Prize ceremony. Then later in the week, I don't know if it's Thursday or Friday, William is supposed to make a landmark speech at COP30. While William is surely seething about the head-to-head competition, which is completely one-sided and in his head only, he should be thanking Harry. More people will pay attention to William's Rio stuff because of the comparison with his brother. To be honest, that is actually true. That is actually true. He's likely going to be very mad, but he should be thankful. Plus, if those volleyball pics are a harbinger of things to come, William should find Harry's Toronto visit invaluable as a distraction, indeed. Apparently, some of the other royal rota rats were seething about Harry's announcement. Harry apparently gave Charles and Buckingham Palace a heads up about his trip to Toronto. But Harry doesn't tell Kensington Palace anything. The question then becomes, why didn't Buckingham Palace inform Kensington Palace about Harry's trip? That's interesting. That is actually a very good question. That tells you actually how much the relationship between Buckingham Palace and Kensington Palace has broken down. Because once upon a time, we were both working together to attack Harry and Meghan. And now one side isn't telling anything about what Harry's doing, even though they have information. No leaks. So Harry has scheduled something at the same time at the family's Remembrance Day events. All Harry is doing is some pre-remembrance events, and he'll presumably stay somewhat quiet on Remembrance Sunday. It's also likely that we will see Kate and the other royal women. They love Remembrance weekend because they can wear their black Alexander McQueen outfits, which is the only thing that they really care about. Coming out looking fancy in black. Not really much about the veterans. And we know that because they've never supported the Invictus Games veterans. But we can come out and wear our really fancy black Alexander McQueen custom-made jackets. Right. There was also a story about the Queen apparently covering costs for Harry and Archie for a year. This in a book, I believe, by Jobson. I don't know if I believe that. But that story apparently came out. But I feel like Harry wrote Spare and we had the Harry and Meghan Netflix documentary. So I feel like if that had happened, I don't know if they would have said that in the documentary already. I don't want to take any information from Royal Rota Rats. Right. Just wanted to check. Was there anything else I wanted to cover? Because there was quite a few things that have been away. Ah, yes. Yet another PDF file associated with the royal household. Oh, because it's not just Andrew. There's a laundry list. So the article, the former chaplain to the late Queen was snared in a PDF file sting after sending indecent messages. to who he thought was a teenage boy. Now, this story is actually from November 3rd, 2 days ago. The other story is from July 2023, but it just shows there is a history of weird and creepy people affiliated with this institution. Can you imagine if you as an average person just happen to have all these affiliates around you who are PDF files and perverts, and how we would look at you, a normal person, being affiliated with all these people? We certainly wouldn't look at you and think, oh, I should bow to that person. I should put that person on a pedestal. You'd be calling for them to be hanged and stoned. But if you're affiliated with the royals, this is just normal. And how many more like this? Anyway, enough with all that drudgery and corrupt wealthy people doing awful things. We should be seeing Harry sometime today and tomorrow, and we will also be seeing him, it seems, from this story that just came across my feed as I was starting the podcast. Also on December 1st, he will be back in Canada. And we've also got Meghan's As Ever. Sorry, With Love, Meghan, the Christmas special coming. So we've got so much to look forward to, folks. So much to look forward to. All right, let's finish off with your comments and then we will wrap things up. Harry will be out and about today, and it's only coming to about 8 a.m. where I am. So for sure, in about 12 to 14 hours, I will do another podcast updating on everything that Harry did today. Thank you as always to the mod squad. I probably need to add new moderators very soon. But thank you as always to the mods that we do have. You do a great job. Benjamin, you said, I personally believe they all have dirt on each other. Parliament is fearful. They might start a train they can't stop from getting steam on them. That's how I really see it. Yeah, I think that's a big part of it, to be honest. They all have dirt on each other. They're all trying to find a way of covering each other's backs, but making it look like they're doing something, which is why I think they're doing all of this surface level stuff. I also find it quite interesting that the press have collectively agreed to follow marching orders. And all of the articles you're seeing about Andrew now is Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. It's the same pattern that we saw when Camilla decided that she wanted to be called Queen, even though she was always going to be Queen Consort. Now, every article you read, it's the Queen, Camilla the Queen. So the press are very much part of this cover-up too. So as Andrew went to the Falklands War, he was in the Navy. It was Edward who dropped out of the military service. Okay, thank you so much, Girl Lewis. Appreciate you. See, this is why I love this community. Like, you remember things that I cannot remember sometimes because there's just so much going on. Oh my God. Darlie, when I saw William in the sand with his face twisted, I thought it was AI generated by squaddies. No, it's very much real. It is very, very much real. I think he's just trying so hard to be relatable and it's just not working. I've said before that the royals at this point should stop trying to be relatable and liked and popular, and they should just be focused on trying to be impactful. Yes, Helen, I did mention this at the very beginning of the podcast. And when I get more details about it, I will talk about it later today when we catch up with what Harry's been doing in Canada. Black Queen, you said, wouldn't it be poetic justice if Harry ends up saving Corella Damilla from King Willie the Horrible? I think that Harry is a very kind person, but I don't think Camilla is someone that he would save. And I think Camilla, quite frankly, she's made several beds and needs to go sleep in all of them. Um, oh, Jane Garcia, thank you so much for the super chat. Appreciate it. And are the British people sick of the lies yet? Do they believe tabloid lies on Harry and Meghan? Happy birthday again. Thank you very much. Did you get the animated birthday card I created and emailed to you a day before your birthday? Did you send it to me? Did you send it to my Gmail or my Hotmail? Because I can't actually access my Hotmail and I haven't been able to for months. So if you send it to my Hotmail, I probably missed it. If you sent it to my Gmail, let me double check. But thank you so much. I very much appreciate that. You also asked, are the British people sick of the lies? I think increasingly they are, but like I keep saying, the royal family is one mess, and while it's very messy, it's not exactly the top of the table for concerns of the British public. Like, especially if you live in one of the major cities, or even if you don't, we're more concerned about rent money over here. Rent money and the cost of living. Like, basic everyday survival is more important than the royals. The royals is further down the list. So it's not that people aren't sick of it. Of course they are. Of course they are. They're just trying to get their rent and their mortgage paid. Do they still believe the tabloid lies on Harry and Meghan? I'm sure there are those that do. But I think increasingly more people are, their eyes are starting to open and they're starting to realize there's been a lot of BS. T Mac, you come from Toronto. If you spot Harry out and about, let us know. Electra, you keep saying it's today. Well, it's today in my head because it's today where I am. I'm at the bottom of the planet. So it is today for me. Well, by the time it gets to the evening, my time, it will be today wherever it is. I still need to get my head around the time zones. Thank you so much, V, for the super sticker. Much appreciated. Mushy. So I'm just getting through your comments and then I'm going to wrap things up, folks. So thank you to everyone for coming. Karma is here for William and he knows that he still looks terrible, though better than a year ago. I mean, holding all of this anger and incandescent with rage in your heart, it's going to, it's going to eat at you. So, and also the secrets that he's probably carrying and that he knows the press knows, all of that would eat at you. Will needs the PR boost his family gives him. I think there's only so much at this point that even, playing the happy family can do. I mean, they do that all the time. I remember when Kate did the, post-cancer in Nature Herbal Essences ad, the whole family was in that ad. And people were actually mad at that because they were like, she's out here looking like the Herbal Essences advert when the average cancer survivor does not look like that, while she has all of the best treatment and access to the best doctors. So that actually backfired in that situation. Because that's not how surviving cancer looks like for most people and families. So there was still tone deaf, even while trying to push this, image of this very normal kind of family to try and be relatable to others. Anyway, Harry's coming. Got something positive to look forward to. So let's focus on that. And I will see you all, I guess in maybe like 12 to 14 hours. Ciao.